So this is a very late week 6 reflection. We didn't film it as a group as we did struggle with a bit of attendance issues that week, me included. I'm filming this solo. We mainly looked at the C-section scene and the quitting and how we were going to move the mirrors around to make that work as we were getting towards sort of the end of working on everything. We also had the idea of River coming into the audience and doing a bit more audience participation. So River would run into the audience and hand members of the audience stickers coming off from the sticker scene. We also had the idea that Katrina would start in a waiting room. I don't know if we covered that last week or the week before. We looked at things like that. But our primary focus was the C-section scene, so we bought some red ribbon to symbolise blood, and the blood the patient loses in the operating theatre. We also looked at choreography because we wanted to make it more frantic assembly, more than just another normal scene that is in the piece. So we had the idea of looking at frantic assembly, and we incorporated a lift into the routine. So I was lifted and taken off stage, and we used counts and beats and to create like a very unnaturalistic approach to the scene. So everyone with red ribbon was like flinging it up, like obviously that doesn't happen with blood doesn't squirt out like that in theatre. So it's very unnaturalistic, and obviously we had people doing Mexican waves with the ribbons as well. But it did take a lot of problem solving as we kept running into problems with people not being there and things. So we were like, right, if they're not here, they'll have to go there during the actual production, and then they'll have to go on this count, and we sort of had to block it in where people weren't there. And then it happened a couple of times where people weren't there and they couldn't do the lift as there wasn't enough people, or even I wasn't there to do the lift with. But yeah, and also we ran into a bit of a problem with the gloves. So for that scene, everyone wears gloves, and they are dyed red at the tip to symbolise like blood on Adam's hands, and they removed the blood, so it's like it's not his fault towards the end as they go down the line and we say our final lines. And obviously I'm not wearing any because I play future Adam again right at the end, where I hang my stethoscope up and say that's the last diary entry I ever wrote, and that's the end of the show. So, but the red food dye that we were going to use didn't dry, so we had to quickly get some fake blood and put that on the ends and just hope that that dried and did not stain my white jumper, which thankfully it didn't. But yeah, that was mainly the C-section scene. It was just a small choreographed piece, and for the sound we decided to do an earringing, sort of like an earringing audio. So then the audience would be like, what's happening? Nobody's talking, there's all this red ribbon everywhere, there's someone laying on a table, and there's this annoying sound. What's going on? So I think we did choreograph that really well, and it worked really well as well, because some people did struggle with counting the counts, so we were just like, so Katrina was sort of like still doing the counts when we were doing the performance, and she was going like 1 2 3 4 1 2 2, so everybody did it correctly, and it worked really well. Yeah, it worked really well. And the lift went well as well, because we did have a couple of hiccups when there wasn't enough people in, where sort of like my back had dipped during lift, or my head had flopped because there was only one person supporting me completely at the shoulders and things. But we managed to make it work because obviously everyone was in on the day and everybody had practiced it at some point, so everybody still knew what they were doing, what count they went on, so it still went really well, and it still worked as well as it should, because everybody was in at one point or another to learn the choreographed routine of the C-section scene.